All right guys, the Weber SmokeFire Pellet Grill is here. I got a chance to see it. This is the first pellet grill Weber has ever made, and I'm excited to bring you this review, this, pros and cons, things I like about it, what you need to know before you buy all this. This is my review of the Weber SmokeFire Pellet Grill. Y'all, it's good. It's really, really promising. If there's no surprises and everything comes out the way it's been tested to work, this is gonna be a really good cooker. The 24-inch cooker is $9.99. The bigger 36-inch cooker is going to be $11.99. And particularly the 36-inch cooker feels like a great price for what you get as far as value. Now, what makes this cooker unique, and I think the thing that's going to make it sell well, is the fact that it's not that it does anything that nobody's ever heard of. It's not the biggest cooker. It's not the heaviest cooker. It's not the prettiest cooker. What it is it's the most well-rounded, most researched. They've taken what works about all the pellet grills on the market and incorporated it into one grill. And they engineered out a lot of the junk that some of it we know about and some of it we didn't even realize we were dealing with. And so that, I think, is what's gonna make it be a really, really formidable entry into this space. And I'm just, this is gonna be fun to watch as a grilling fan. Okay, so what makes it unique? The fact that it can sear a steak. To me, it feels exactly like cooking on a Weber Genesis. It's hot enough. Not really hot. I mean, it's not like charcoal hot, but it's hot enough. It's even enough. It's not perfectly even across the grates, but there's not like just a hot spot in the middle. It's basically 85% of it is about the same temperature. On the one I was cooking on the right, it was a little cooler, like just on the far right, but the rest of the cooking grates, and remember, that's a big cooking grate, it was fine. And even the cool spot on the right would have eventually cooked the steak. It just needed a little bit more time. And again, just like my Genesis has cool spots on the front, and then hotter spots on the back. So yeah, so if you're looking for a one-size-fits-all pellet grills are all able to do a lot of things, but almost none of them are able to do a steak as good as a decent gas grill. So there are a few out there, but often they require extra. This is the other thing Weber tried to work around. They required extra parts and pieces to be put in the grill or deflectors to be taken out of the grill. And they just wanted this to be really easy to use without a lot of headaches, and you'll kind of see that. So sears the steak really good. It's my computer stand. It eliminated a lot of the common problems. Hopper fires, I just don't see how it's possible for there to be a fire that works its way back up the auger into the hopper. The auger is much, much higher than the fire pot. It's out of the way. In the shutdown mode on the auger actually dumps the pellets that are on the edge of the auger. It dumps those into the fire pot and then reverses and pulls the pellets out of the auger. So there's not even any pellets to be able to catch fire. It's a really, really smart design that takes advantage of both the design of the hardware and then the software to prevent auger fires. Grease fires, a lot of people looked at some of the video I shot and some of the comments said, well, it's gonna have a grease fire, there's no heat deflector. Well, actually, the people at Weber looked at this and they figured out they could do what they needed to do with their own flavorizer bars, and that leaves less of a spot for grease to pool on the big grease pan that we're used to seeing in other cookers. So it actually made for a much better solution. And because there's not a big grease deflector there, people are more likely to clean it, which is even going to reduce the risk of fire even more. So that is a good, that's a good addition. Jammed augers, what happens with pellets, if you're not aware, is they get wet, then they dry out and they become like this concrete inside the auger, which is a huge pain. It's just a huge pain having to clean that out. So auger is in the middle of the cooker. It's shorter. There's less pellets in it, and like I said, at the end of the shutdown mode, that thing goes in reverse and pulls those pellets back into the hopper. And then when it does have problems, the machine itself goes back and forth. It actually will work the problems out a lot of the time. So yeah, that part's good. The cooker itself won't rust. It's all, it's Weber, it's porcelain coated steel. It's not the heaviest cooker in the world. It doesn't feel flimsy, but it doesn't feel, like 1/4-inch steel, because it's not. Most of the body is porcelain coated steel, and then the sidewalls are aluminized steel, which are rust resistant with high heat paint, which is heat resistant, and then they're dual walled insulated from the fire, which should protect it even more from rust. So really good design that should prevent rust. Then there's other things that they noticed, that there's a lot of flyaway ash, and that not only makes the cooker dirty faster, but and requires it to be cleaned more, but also that gets on the food. And I've seen that. Weber looked at that and said, I wonder if I can get rid of some of that. And so they built this perforated fire pot with holes in it, and that allows the pellets, as they begin to burn down, once they're almost done burning, they fall through the bottom of the fire pot and they never get a chance to circulate throughout the cooker. So 90% of the ash never makes it past the cooking grate. It's all either in the ash collection where it's supposed to be below, out of the cooker, or in the body of the cooker. So it's a really nice improvement over things that that's something you might not have even thought about before. There's a 22-pound hopper with a low pellet warning. It'll send you your phone. If you have it set up, you'll get a text when you run low on pellets. Now, why 22 pounds? Well, that's because when the low pellet warning goes off with 2 pounds of pellets left, you can dump a full 20-pound bag of pellets into the hopper without having like this little bag of 2 or 3 pounds of pellets left that you just set to the side and wait till the next time. Just a little convenience thing that's nice. I think that it just shows attention to detail. The controller itself is super easy to use. You can see it from a distance. It's at an ergonomic level. It's like eyeball, not eyeball height, but it's like about right here. It's pointed at your face. You can see it. Supposedly, I didn't get a chance to see it in daylight, but supposedly you can see it really well in daylight. You can certainly see it at night. You can operate it one-handed. There's basically 3 buttons and a knob, and it's really easy to see what it says. So the idea was, if you had plates or dishes or whatever, you could turn the knob, and you wouldn't have to get down on your all fours to kind of read. I've had a cooker before that had a display about the size of a calculator screen, and it's just nice to have a big, beefy display that you can see from a distance and operate it one-handed easily. The grease bucket is in a position where critters can't get into it, so you don't have to worry about your dog getting into it or cats getting into it or coyotes. That was one of the things they were trying to fix there. And then it's designed to start quickly. So the glow rod charges in like 20 seconds and begins to burn. And I think they told me it'll get up to maximum temps. And I think it was 20 minutes or less, maybe 15 minutes. I wish I could remember. I'll go back and double check, and I'll write it in here. Yeah, it's super duper fast as far as getting started. So that's nice. That's really nice. A couple of questions I got. Why doesn't it have a drip pan? It's because it doesn't need it. That's just another spot that can collect grease. And again, there's room underneath those grates where you can put your own drip pan, like a disposable water pan, and then just pitch that out if you want to, but you don't have to. Like you can use those flavorizer bars. They'll channel the grease into the bottom of the cooker, and that grease pan underneath is actually away from the body of the cooker, so it's not a fire hazard down there. So anything I'd like to change? That's one of the questions I got. The casters are really small. I don't know what it is with Weber. They just don't put a high emphasis on big beefy casters like some companies do. Maybe it's because they determine they don't have to. In this case, it's probably, it bothers me less with this than it did on the Weber Summit charcoal grill, because the cooker is priced right. Like, frankly, at $11.99, I'll go out and buy my own casters, and I think I heard that they're gonna have those available, so that'll be nice. Same thing with the cooking grates. That's another thing. They're chrome steel plates. It's the same thing they put on their kettles. It is what it is. Again, it bothers me less. I know I asked them about this. If they would have done stainless steel, it would have raised the price of the grill probably by around $100, because there's 4 grates, right? So I think there's 3 on the cooking surface and then 1 on the warming rack. So if you made that all stainless steel, it would raise the price by $100. I think for me, I would rather pay the extra. And fortunately, I can, because all the Weber Spirit grates can use those same grates. So if you want to upgrade, then you can. 2-zone cooking is another thing. You don't have as good of options as you do with a kettle or with a gas grill. You can't just turn off half the cooker and then cook on that. So, you know what I mean? So it's like, your options are either to do a reverse sear or do a front sear. So you sear off your steaks, take them off, bring the temps down, and then bring them up to temperature in the middle, or maybe use the warming rack or rig up something else. There's just not really an option like with the gas grills where you can just turn off the burner. I'd love to see what they could do with that. I don't know if there's much of, I don't know, they'll figure it out. They're Weber, they can do that. If enough people ask for that, I'm sure they'll figure out a way to make that happen. What else? Yeah, those are basically the casters, the grates, and the 2-zone cooking are the things that like I would see opportunities for in the future. Other things, they did so much testing with these other cookers that they actually wore some of the grills that they had tested out and had to replace them, and the process determined that some of the other cookers in the pellet grills that are out there are just way too difficult to do maintenance on. So they designed the SmokeFire to be able to get access to everything really, really easily. So for example, if you need to replace a glow rod, it will take about 5 minutes. Once you know what you're doing, it's undo 4 screws, put in the glow rod, screw it down with 1 screw, and you're good to go. So it's really, really easy to replace those glow rods. Other things, there's going to be more accessories coming out from this. They'll coming out for this in the future. There will be side tables, there will be a front table, and then they said there will be an avalanche of other things coming out to inspire you to cook on this cooker. So that's good. They have new pellets coming out. They're going to be $17 a bag, which is great. That's a really good price for a 20-pound bag, in my opinion. I mean, I found some cheaper ones, the B&B pellets at not Amazon, Academy are cheaper than that, but you know, not everybody has access to Academy. So anytime there's more competition, that's good for us. It also looks like those pellets are gonna be, Weber did a couple of things to improve the smoke flavor in the cooker. One of them was their pellets have more flavor wood as opposed to just, oh, it's a big bug. I'm gonna get attacked here. They have more flavor wood versus just BTU wood. All pellets are a percentage of flavor wood and a percentage of just bulk burning wood. And this one they're gonna have more flavor wood in their pellets. The other thing they did was instead of using the typical smokestack, Weber did some research and realized it's just not needed to use a smokestack because that allows the smoke to exit the cooker too fast and it affects the way the cooker drafts. So a lot of pellet cookers don't cook evenly because they have a smokestack. So they took that out, and you can look at the venting design. But one of the benefits of that venting design, not only is that part of what makes the cooker cook more evenly, but it also holds the smoke inside the cooker longer, so you have the meat has more access to the smoke. So pellets, and it'll burn any type of pellet, and you can use these pellets on any other type of pellet cooker, are gonna have more flavor wood. I don't think I mentioned this, there's gonna be a little more bark in it, which creates more smoke, and then the smoke will stay in the cooker longer, if that makes sense. So again, I touched on the controller. It's a good controller. I really like the way it works. It's really easy to use. It doesn't have any weird codes or any things that you don't understand. You don't have to run to the manual if it tells you something. There will be Wi-Fi available, and it will include an app that is not yet available. I'm gonna hold off on being all excited about that just yet. Not because I don't think Weber can figure that out. I just haven't seen anyone really figure that out really well. It seems like if there's, without seeing a demonstration, and I didn't even see pictures of how the app's gonna work even in the demonstration. So it kind of makes me wonder. I'm ready to be excited, but I'm also trust but verify. How about that? We'll just go with that. When they get it going, they have plans for even more upgrades out through the rest of the year, which will bring more functionality into the app and into the controller itself. Everything about the controller is upgradable. The software, even to some extent, some of the hardware would be easy to replace at home if you ever needed to or wanted to. So that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm really optimistic about this. I think it's a good cooker. I don't think that happened by accident. I think one of the things that Weber did was they realized they didn't know how to do this. And I don't know why that surprises me. I guess I just figured maybe because it's Weber, they would be arrogant, but they weren't at all. They actually, they took their time getting into this space. They were gonna make sure that this wasn't a fad before they invested, pellet grills I mean. They wanted to make sure pellet grills weren't a fad before they went into it. And then when it became clear that this is here to stay, they went in hardcore and did a ton of research, starting from the fact that the mindset of we don't know how to do this. Very different than you'll buy this because it has Weber's name on it. They're like, we don't know how to do this, and we need to talk to people that do. So they started buying other cookers that are on the market and started cooking with them so they know how they worked. They started interviewing other people that have been using these cookers and the distributors that have been selling them. And even at one point, I thought it was a joke, but I think they were serious. They said they spied, they meant with permission, but they went and watched people as they cooked. And they watched from the point where they started the grill, prepped their food, cooked their food, shut down the grill, and then cleaned the cooker. And they just took notes of all the things and ended up with the list that I just went through, the things that work and everybody seems to enjoy about pellet grills, and then the things that were either annoyances or inconveniences, and then they tried to go to work at engineering those problems, reducing them or eliminating them if they could, and that's how we got here. And then on the back end, they just tested the crap out of these cookers before they released them. The testing that they went through is just, it's just unbelievable. Like, they burned tons of pellets. They said they were bringing in pellets by the semi-truckload just throughout this process. And I got a chance to see the R&D facility, and I got to tell you, I was blown away at how much effort they put into this. There's, you know, they had one little spot where they had what looked like an EKG for grills, and really was this, I don't know, it's 50, 75 little heat sensors, kind of like a gigantic, you know, fireboard or whatever, and with like a ton of little pellet, or excuse me, heat sensors, and they would monitor like the heat in the entire cooker. So if there was a problem, they could see where it started. And at one point, like, somebody asked if you could line the bottom of the cooker with foil for easy cleanup, and they were like, well, anytime you put foil, this, you know, you expect a yes or no answer to that question. And what we got was, we did some testing on that, and what we determined is when you put foil in the bottom of the cooker, you're actually creating a radiant barrier, which doesn't allow the heat to escape from the bottom of the cooker. And so you're changing the thermal dynamics inside the cooker, and it's like, whoa, how did you know that? It's like, well, we tested it. And so, I mean, they've tested all of it. They tested it in cold weather. They actually tested it in hot weather, which is hard to do in Chicago. So they built basically this gigantic hot box, and they put the cookers and ran all their tests in this basically homemade little sauna. And they tested them there, and then they have a cook that comes in and tests every recipe in one of their cookbooks to make sure that it holds up for this new style of cooker. So literally, this cooker's been tested hundreds and hundreds of times, maybe thousands. So ordinarily, I would say, you know, first run cookers, I'd be very nervous about it. I don't think this is, I think they're kind of starting on second base. And with their track record, I mean, the Weber Summit charcoal grill was a really, really, really good cooker, first generation. It was just overpriced. And I think they took what they did right about that and learned their lesson. And when they priced this one, and I think they came up with something really, really cool. So that's my thoughts on this cooker. I hope you found this interesting. I hope you take a look at it. I'll put a link below if you want more information on it. And thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I'll be doing more videos on this topic and on this cooker in the future, and hit that notification bell. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.